Vickers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, I was talking to Jason, a pub landlord, and he told me he's heard a rumour about the Prime Minister. Not that one, not that one. He's heard that there is a reason why the Prime Minister hates Britain's pubs. Landlords like Jason are being battered by Labour's jobs tax and the slashing of small business rates relief, meaning that as many as half of Britain's pubs could be closed by 2030. Why does he hate Britain's pubs? And if he doesn't, why is he taxing them into extinction?
Mr. Speaker, nobody likes pubs better than me, and we support them. But, Mr. Speaker, it's the same old nonsense. They say they don't want the national insurance rise, but they don't have the courage to say they'd reverse it, because they know if they said that, they wouldn't be able to say where the money's coming from. That's how we got into the problem in the first place.
Labour leader Keir Starmer faced a stinging rebuke in a parliamentary hearing this week as Conservative MP Matt Vickers accused him of turning his back on a cherished British institution. In a moment that quickly lit up social media, Vickers leaned in and fired off the question that summed up Conservative frustrations. Why do you hate our pubs? The backdrop to the clash was a heated committee hearing on the impact of Labour's proposed national insurance rise, dubbed the jobs tax by critics, on small businesses and the hospitality sector. Vickers, representing Stockton South, seized the opportunity to paint Starmer as out of touch with the working-class heartlands Labour once called home. The local pub is the beating heart of British communities, Vickers declared. Yet, here you are proposing a tax hike that will crush small employers, force closures, and leave thousands jobless. Why do you hate our pubs? Starmer, caught off guard by the emotional appeal, pushed back, insisting that Labour's economic plans are designed to protect jobs, strengthen public services, and rebuild the economy after years of Conservative mismanagement. But his response lacked the rhetorical punch needed to counter the symbolic weight of Vickers' accusation, a charge that fused cultural identity with economic policy. While Starmer emphasized that any changes to national insurance would be targeted at high-income earners and large corporations, the optics of appearing to threaten Britain's pubs, a beloved working-class staple, played directly into Conservative hands. For Starmer, the clash underscores a broader dilemma: how to fund ambitious public sector improvements without alienating the very communities Labour is trying to win back. The optics of Labour being pitted against pubs, especially in the Red Wall constituencies it lost in 2019, could prove politically toxic. Labour aides downplayed the exchange as a populist stunt and pointed to policies designed to support small businesses such as investment grants for energy, efficient upgrades, and reduced business rates for venues under a certain turnover threshold. Yet the damage may already be done in the court of public opinion. Social media lit up with clips of Vickers' soundbite, with some users calling it a masterclass in messaging. Others accused Starmer of missing yet another opportunity to connect with everyday voters. The pub debate, while ostensibly about tax policy, speaks to a deeper tension in British politics: the battle over cultural identity. To question someone's stance on pubs in Britain isn't just about economics. It's a challenge to their authenticity, their allegiance to tradition, and their respect for everyday life. And in that regard, Vickers struck a chord. Pubs are more than businesses, he said. They're community hubs, places where people gather, laugh, grieve, and organize. Attacking them is like attacking the soul of Britain. Whether Labour can overcome that emotional messaging remains to be seen. The party has made strides in polling, but encounters like this reinforce the perception that its leadership remains vulnerable to charges of elitism or economic detachment.
Deterrence whatsoever, merely enticements, and this government is doing absolutely nothing to stop this escalating invasion. Last week, the best part of 2,000 came over. It's ridiculous. When are they going to do something?
It's absurd. And he talks about smashing the gangs. What he doesn't realise is that the British establishment the judges themselves, who should be breaking up these gangs, standing up for the United Kingdom, deporting illegal migrants, the judges themselves are part of the problem. We discovered last week that something called Refugee Legal Support, which is a charity that started in Greece, has now come right across Europe and exists in the United Kingdom, has members of the judiciary in it.
I didn't know that.
They are actually training other lawyers in how to use the European Convention of Human Rights, specifically the Third Convention and the Eighth Convention, which give you a right to, not be terrorized. The third, so Article 3 of the European Convention of Human Rights states that you should be safe from, being tortured and so on. And they're using that to claim that actually people are entitled to free service on the NHS.
Yeah.
That's the kind of argument they're making. And it's our judiciary that are part of the gang.
Yeah, they really are
we are aiding and abetting this trade.
And also, just quickly, the smash the gangs strategy is ludicrous. By the way, they formed the Border Security Command last July the 5th, finally hired someone to lead it in September, 200 grand a year, gave him £175 million worth of high-tech, state-of-the-art, cutting-edge techno equipment to find these gangs. So far, they haven't even found a gang. They certainly haven't smashed any, and even if they did, it wouldn't make a blind bit of difference. They got to stop the migrants. This government is incoherent, impotent, and completely hopeless when it comes to this crisis.
Absolutely. And of course, we all knew, Kevin, you can't smash the gangs in the United Kingdom sitting here with domestic agencies at your disposal. The gangs are all in Europe.
I don't think it's the way to go about it. That's not the way to go about it, though. You've got to stop the migrants. You smash every gang tonight. There'll be new gangs tomorrow because the migrants will still be customers. So it's supply and demand. It's a disgrace and a complete disaster. Ben, I've got to go now because we're running. I've run seriously over time with you, as I always do. But pleasure to talk to you. Fantastic.
Businessman and former Brexit Party MEP Ben Habib has launched a blistering attack on the UK government over what he describes as a national scandal. Taxpayers footing a daily bill of $4 million to house migrants in hotels and temporary accommodation. Speaking to Talk Radio's Kevin O'Sullivan, Habib accused ministers of enticing illegal migrants to the UK through weak policies and a broken asylum system. This isn't compassion. This isn't compassion. This is chaos, Habib said. We are actively encouraging people to come here, and then we're punishing British taxpayers for it. £4 million a day. That's over $1 billion a year. The government does absolutely nothing to stop it. The revelation that daily spending on migrant accommodation has now tripled the original Home Office estimates has sparked fury among both fiscal conservatives and immigration hawks. Official figures suggest that over 50,000 asylum seekers are now being housed in hotels across the country due to a lack of processing capacity and permanent housing. What began as a temporary emergency measure during the pandemic has metastasized into what critics call a symbol of systemic failure. The sheer scale of the expense, more than $0.4 billion annually, has prompted accusations that the government has lost control of both its borders and its budget. Habib's comments strike at the heart of a growing backlash against what many see as a porous and poorly policed immigration system. His remarks echo a rising tide of public frustration, especially in working-class communities where access to housing and public services is already stretched thin. Habib's comments come at a volatile time in British politics, with Reform UK gaining ground in the polls by hammering home its message of controlled borders, lower taxes, and restored sovereignty. Immigration remains one of the top concerns for voters, especially amid fears that the system is being exploited by economic migrants, posing as asylum seekers. The political fallout is already beginning to surface. Several Red Wall MPs have issued statements demanding an end to hotel placements in their areas, citing local unrest, resource pressures, and rising crime fears. Meanwhile, Reform UK has promised to make the migrant hotel scandal a centrepiece of its general election campaign.